And just to give you a little bit brief about the theme of this event today. So that's a very interesting theme. It's called Trust and Responsibility in Design. I just want to give you a little bit of overview about why, as designers, we are talking about such issues like trust and responsibility. Typically, as designers, I don't think we think about these things. So as you know that changes are happening, in the world around us, and every day there are events happening, taking place, which there's no precedence for those events. As designers, it is a challenge for us to respond to those events in suitable and appropriate ways. Now, here's a question which has been, quite debated in recent years, and that is, who exactly is a designer? If you're part of social media and if you're part of Twitter, recently there's been a lot of debates around this issue. Who is a designer? And my own take on this is that anyone who's responsible for the structure and behavior of an interactive system. It could be a communication, it could be product, service. But here's the thing. We see these manifestations of design. When we talk about design manifests to us in different ways. So it could be a communication, like I'm showing you this slide. I'm showing you a series of slides. This is a communication. This is a design. It could be a digital product, or for that matter, it could be a physical product as well. All products are designed. So there is an entire design practice or the design discipline called industrial design. So all the mobile phones we use, the cars we drive, right? Or any small product. These are all manifestations of some design. Somebody designed them, right? Digital products. So the interesting thing is that the word interaction design actually became popular when we started talking about digital products only. Earlier, there were industrial designers. Now, when we call product design, we may not necessarily mean that it is a physical product. It may we may be referring to entirely digital product. So that's why I don't want to use the term product design, because there is an inherent confusion there. When we say product design, what product are we talking about? Are we talking about a physical product, or are we talking about a digital product? So interaction design is very clear. Any product which is interactive, right? And the behavior of that product is interactive, that's basically interaction design. Now there is something called service design, right? So when you are dealing with interaction design, you are dealing with one product. You're using one product, interacting with one product. It could be an ATM, it could be a mobile device, it could be the operating system on the mobile device, it could be any app on that mobile device. All are interactive systems. So the design of those interactive systems is interaction design. Then there is service design. Now, as part of an experience, user would typically use more than one touch point or more than one interaction. You take any interaction, right? Maybe even a simple shopping experience, online shopping experience. You go to a website, you search, you browse products, add to cart, checkout, you make a payment. Payment might not happen necessarily on the same touch point. It might take you to a third party, say PayPal or some Paytm or some other site, right? Then finally the product is delivered to you. There is a human touch point, somebody comes and delivers the product. The product comes in a packaging, right? It has a label printed on, So each interaction is designed by someone, be it a physical, interaction, or a digital interaction, or even the the physical, the product itself, right? So this is part of an entire service experience. So what I'm trying to suggest is that the scope of design is increasing as we move from communication design to interaction design, and then to service design. But as we move up the ladder, it actually includes all the previous things. So interaction design includes graphic design, right? Communication, graphics, everything, UI. So I don't want, intentionally I won't use the word UX here. Because we are the IXDA, and we have an entire different take on what UX is, which I'll come to. So when you talk about interaction design, it includes the lower level of design, that is graphics. When you talk about service design, it automatically includes interaction design, right? So the higher you move, it includes all the. So when you talk about user experience, actually what happened was we started with interaction design sometime in the middle of the last decade, around 2003, 2004. Just before that, Alan Cooper wrote his famous book About Face, which kind of was a bible of interaction design. At the same time, Don Norman also wrote one book, The Design of Everyday Things, and then he also wrote another book called Emotional Design. So Don Norman, as you know, is called the father of UX. Alan Cooper is the father of interaction design. Don Norman, father of UX. So what happened was the term UX caught on in the industry. So everybody wanted to be a UX designer without really understanding what it means. So typically, when people call themselves UX designers, what they're actually referring to is that they are designing some digital product, either a mobile application or a website or any other digital application, right? Maybe it's a interface, ATM-based interface, or any other kiosk-based interface. So, but the term user experience became popular in the industry. And Don Norman's own definition of user experience is that it has to include the entire holistic end-to-end experience. What I basically described, with the shopping cart example. So Don Norman says that user experience is the sum total of all interactions, right? Right from the time you search for a website, so Google is also part of that. You go to Flipkart or Amazon, you make a search, you browse, shopping cart, the payment experience is also part of that. When the product is delivered to you, that is also part of that. So Don Norman says that end-to-end experience is user experience, which is basically the same thing as a service experience, because when we say service design and service experience, we are also talking about the same thing. So these days, another discussion which is common on social media is that UX is actually service design. So if you have to create so if you are simply working on one mobile application or one touch point, you can't call yourself a UX designer. It has to be holistic, end to end. Now that is the challenge for designers. Simply calling yourself a user experience designer doesn't mean that you actually have control over all the different touch points which the user will experience as part of his journey, right? You may be working on one touch point, that is a mobile application. That makes you an interaction designer. That doesn't make you a UX designer, right? So just wanted to clarify that. Now here's the thing. Because of all the changes which are happening and all the emerging technologies, we are now moving towards another level of design which we still haven't found a name for. But obviously the term UX will be used to describe that also. We are part of the fourth industrial revolution, and the systems are becoming increasingly intangible. We might be surrounded by systems, we wouldn't know that there are systems which are tracking every move or collecting some data in the background or even listening to what we are saying. Prime example, Amazon Alexa. That is a digital product, right? It is an AI-based product. There's a certain experience associated with it, right? Now, technologies like machine learning, AI, blockchain. Now, that's the reason, I wanted to have this event and focus on emerging technologies And I'll tell you why there is a connection between emerging technologies and the theme of this event today, which is emerging trust and responsibility in design. Emerging technologies are driving changes that will impact the future of living and work. They are already doing it. Now, designers need to come out of their shell in order to adapt to these changes. So the definition of design itself probably has to broaden. Now, let me give you an example. Somebody who designs an algorithm for a machine learning system, would you call him a designer? Now, he's not playing with the usual design tools. He's basically an algorithm designer. He will design the algorithm for which a machine learning system will work. Now, we need to broaden our definition of designer. He is a designer. Many of you would be startup, or maybe planning to start your own startups, or even maybe running your own startups. You are prime examples of designers, right? You have to design multiple things. You have to design an organization. You have to design your product. You have to design your service experience, end to end, right? So what I'm trying to suggest here is that we have a very narrow definition of who is a designer, and I think the debates which are happening on social media is basically referring to this only. On the one side, people are calling themselves UX designer, but they do not have control over all the touch points, right? So I think this is kind of causing a little bit of contradiction, that calling yourself a UX designer but not necessarily having a control over the user experience, end-to-end user experience. The second thing is, as these new technologies are coming, again we are in a dilemma. What to do about these new technologies? Do we need to reskill? What is going to be the future of work? And I think we have Kavita today. She'll be talking about how to design your life in the future of work. And we have a exciting line of speakers, but we'd like to start with Samarth Gulati. So Samarth is a Bachelor of Engineering from Thapar and has done a master's degree in human-computer interaction from University of Michigan. Samarth has been a part of Adobe in San Francisco Bay Area and has worked for their Sense and Sensei AI team. Today, Samarth will be sharing his experience of designing interfaces for AI products. Please help me in welcoming Samarth.